Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session and the ones to come will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. Happiness is a concept that many people wonder about, often asking how they can experience it constantly or find ways to always be happy. However, no one really enjoys sadness, and the truth is, we all know how to be happy. The idea of happiness is discussed in various schools, colleges, and other places where people are taught about the nature of feelings, and it's clear that these feelings are ever-changing. Some days, one might feel joy, but the next, those same feelings can turn into sadness. It's a natural cycle of life, and we experience it all the time. The issue arises when we quickly jump to conclusions and assume we know the answers to everything without taking a step back to really consider the situation. When we don't stop to think, we can find ourselves in a place where we seem to know everything already, which can be the root of many of life's troubles. Imagine that you have everything you could ever want, yet you're still not happy, or perhaps in contrast, you have very little, but you're still content. The true value lies in being happy and understanding how to maintain happiness, especially in a world where everyone seems to be striving for it. There is an art to being happy, one that even our children are in tune with before society begins to tell them otherwise. As children, we're often told not to laugh too much, as it might lead to tears later, or we are conditioned to believe that happiness might bring harm, such as attracting negative energies or bad luck. This thinking is misguided and based on a series of misconceptions that society imposes on us. For instance, if someone were truly affected by an evil eye, they would likely be experiencing far worse consequences than we see in the world today. In fact, by sharing both our joys and sorrows openly, we bring happiness to ourselves and others, rather than feeling guilty or fearful about expressing our joy. There are already so many unhappy people in the world. Why contribute more negativity to that? It's time we realize that the world doesn't need more sadness. The need of the hour is to find people who are not just lamenting over the sorrows of the world, but those who also celebrate its goodness. When people focus only on the problems, we lose sight of the good things happening around us. If we only focus on the issues, whether they are within our families or society, we fail to appreciate the positive aspects of life. Often, the media plays a large part in shaping our perceptions, conditioning our minds with negativity. We begin to believe that everything is wrong, that nothing good is happening. This mindset fosters suspicion, and when we look at people, we no longer see their kindness or innocence. Instead, we begin to suspect ulterior motives, thinking that everyone has an agenda or a problem. However, if we open our eyes and see things more clearly, we would realize that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, is just trying to be happy in their own way. No one is inherently bad or malicious. Sure, there are people who may be dealing with difficult situations, and these challenges might lead them to hurt others, but it's not out of joy, it's a reflection of their own unhappiness. Even in places where people are incarcerated or living in harsh conditions, no one is truly happy in that situation. If you take the time to converse with them, you will find that they regret their actions, and like everyone else, they too have a heart filled with desires for happiness. We must remember that no one is entirely different from us. We all share the same fundamental desire to be happy, even if we express it in different ways. While some may be more fortunate, others face hardships, but everyone is just trying to find their way out of their troubles. Every person, regardless of their background or situation, is essentially seeking peace and happiness. When we stop to think, we see that even the people we live with or love, whether they are parents, siblings, children, or spouses, are all just humans trying to navigate life as best as they can. The key to seeing the goodness in them is by offering positivity, and in return, we can expect to see positive energy reflected back. It's essential to change our thinking and avoid dwelling on the negatives. Often, it's not about the situation itself, but about how we perceive it. Society shapes individuals, but at the same time, an individual can shape society. We are all connected in this way, and our actions, attitudes, and outlooks contribute to the larger picture. Maintaining a stable mind amidst the chaos of life, where work, family, and other responsibilities seem to demand all of our attention, can seem like a difficult task. But it's important to realize that happiness doesn't come from a perfect world or an ideal set of circumstances. If we keep waiting for everything to align perfectly, we will never find peace. The world will never be perfect. There will always be good and bad in it. If we want to find happiness, we need to accept that life is a mix of both. The key is realizing that the balance leans more towards good than bad. If that weren't the case, we wouldn't be alive today. We would have all given up long ago. So there's always something good happening somewhere. People are out there doing good things, and focusing on that goodness can help us shift our perspective. But if we focus only on the evil and negativity, our lives will become filled with sadness, and we will project that sadness into the world. It becomes a vicious cycle. The more we focus on the negative, the more we make ourselves and others unhappy. We start to believe that we are miserable because of our problems, and we share this misery with others who in turn share theirs, and it keeps escalating. This cycle continues until we all wallow in our individual grief. In reality, this behavior doesn't help anyone. It only makes matters worse. The solution, then, is to stop pouring more fuel onto the fire of sorrow. Instead of focusing on our problems and the problems of others, we need to recognize that sorrow only grows when we feed it. The more we talk about our pain, the more it amplifies. And when we listen to others talk about their woes, it becomes a competition to see who has it worse. No one is really interested in hearing about each other's sadness. We're all just waiting for our turn to speak. This is a common pattern in our lives. When we shift our focus from our problems and engage in conversations that highlight solutions or positive experiences, we break the cycle of negativity. It's not just about talking less about our problems, but about taking control of our mindset and not allowing the situation to dictate our emotions. The state of our mind should not be left in the hands of external circumstances. We must keep our minds stable, regardless of the chaos around us. To achieve this, we need to dig deeper into the root of our emotions and thoughts. By understanding the root cause, we can work through it and maintain a sense of peace. The state of sadness, when we feel it deeply, is an unnatural one. Happiness, on the other hand, might feel random at times, as though it comes out of nowhere. A sudden good weather or an unexpected compliment may lift our spirits. But this state of happiness is fleeting, and we must learn how to maintain it regardless of external events. This isn't about waiting for something to happen to make us happy. It's about shifting our focus to find joy within ourselves, in the simplest of things and in every little moment of life. Happiness is something we can cultivate, and it's up to us to decide how we experience it, rather than leaving it to chance.